stitches. Here's the skirt front, so I'm going to turn it wrong side facing up, and then your instructions want you to reinforce this corner right here. So what you'll do is in the seam allowance, you'll sew 1 inch to the left and to the right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ribbon here. So I'm going to go ahead and press this to the left and to the right. So this is going to reinforce. Ooh, hot. Reinforce that, because, and then you're going to have to cut into it. And so yeah, so I'll go ahead, so I did reinforce it, but I'll go ahead and reinforce it with stitches so that you can see what I'm talking about. So now this is the skirt front here, and I got the skirt back. I'm trying to get the top of it. Is it the skirt back? Yes, yes, yes. And then sew the sides together, matching the notch. So here's a notch here on the side, and match it, the top, match that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. First, matching the notches. Matching the notch. And then I'm going to match up the top of this corner seam right there. So I'm going to go ahead, let me go down a little bit and pin. So if you remember when I was cutting out this pattern, I was doing kind of a wonky job because I didn't want to cut my whole pattern out, and so I had to kind of guesstimate where the end was. Well, this is where we find out. So now I'm going to sew down the sides, and I'm going to reinforce this corner right here. Okay, now first I'm going to reinforce this front. So let me find it. So I'm going to start about 1 inch away within the seam allowance. Get to that corner. I'm going to turn and come down. So that'll come in handy. See that? So now I'm going to do the sides. So I'm just a little bit off here at the bottom. We can fix that. All right. Now we're at the other side, starting from the top. Usually I start from the bottom, but since I knew that my bottom seam wasn't trustworthy because of my cutting, I'm starting at the top. Get this together. 6%. It is another day, and now I'm going to finish up this dress. So in the last video, I sewn the sides together, and then I did the stay stitching for this center front here. So sewing an inch out, on both sides of that notch, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut into that so that we have two separate pieces. So right now I'm going to just go ahead and now I'm just going to press my darts, and I'm actually going to serge these seams because they're going to be exposed on the inside, so there's no lining for the bottom part of the blouse. And also, while I am here, I'm going to press, oh, that stuff falling. While I'm here at the table, I'm just going to take, and I'm going to press up my seam. So the pattern calls for 5/8 seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I have my seam gauge. I'm putting it on 5/8. And then I'm going to just start pressing. And I'm going to get some clips so it stays. If you don't have clips, you can use pins. And actually, I'm going the wrong way. I want to go from right to left. Accidentally went up some. It's getting hot. Oh, that press took very well. I won't make that mistake again. I don't even need the clips. I wasn't sure if this hem was going to hold, but it is holding. Stop making this mistake right here. I keep pressing in. Because I did it again. Straighten this out. Almost to the end. Take these out because I don't need them. So now I'm actually going to serge my seams, and I'm going to serge the hem and then do the gathering stitches around the top so that we can add this to the actual dress. Now I'm finding the front because I want the seams at the bottom to go towards the back of the dress. So I'm going to push those to the back, and then I'm going to pin them so that when I get there, they are going to be serged towards the back of the dress. So again, here's the front, which means this goes to the back. So I'm actually going to just start over here. Drop that. So now this is turned towards the back. So I'm going to put this pin in here. I'm going to slowly get there. Then once I get the seam underneath that foot, then I can take my pin out. There we go. See that? So the pattern wants you to do a double fold on the hem. So if you don't have a serger, what you would do is that you would first press it up 5/8, and then you can take that the top part of that hem and then fold it under and press again, and then top stitch. And I'm thinking if that's what I want to do, but I'm going to go ahead and press this finished edge under, and then I will baste it. So I'm going to get some basting thread, and instead of using pins, whenever I sew tiny hems like this, I really like to use some basting thread or even just regular thread, but needle and thread, and just hand baste this closed so that when I come to the machine, I can just focus on top stitching and I don't have to worry about this this hem from becoming undone because I moved a pin or a clip. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do this hem, but you know, before I do that, I'll go ahead and do the top stitching, not the top stitching, the gathering stitches. So I'm going to cut the thread tails. Now I'm going to use my longest stitch on this machine, which is 6 stitches per inch. So I'm going to start at the front, find the front. And I'm going to go ahead and inside the seam allowance, I'm going to do these running stitches. Stitching all over the place. Long thread tails. So that's one row, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the second row. Get everything out of the way. I'm going to go right next to that other stitch. check to make sure I have some stitches. Don't want to run out of bobbin thread. So now I'm going to go over and finish getting my hem prepped. So I wanted to quickly show what I'm doing here. So I had this blue thread on here, so I'm using it for now. But when that runs out, then I'll go ahead and switch over to my basting thread here. So I focus on, just like with sewing, I focus on what is in front of me. So I've already pressed this under, and I'm taking the needle, and I'm just going to do a running stitch. Watch. Up, see the threads out, the needle's out, and then down, and then up. Pull it through, and then now I have a running stitch. So let me go start over here. So I'm going to work on, so I'm going to have, this is, I finished this up, so I'm taking this and I'm turning it under. If it changes where the line is, that is okay with me. Just taking this, folding it under, so I get a nice good seam, a nice tuck under there. Press that. See, that's nice, and so now I got this section. So I'll take my needle and thread. And I'm trying to place the stitch along this upper fold here, because that's going to be my guideline of whenever I stitch. As long as I have my stitching line inside that line there, then I know that I'm going to catch this. I know I'm going to catch the hem whenever I do the top stitching. So this is where I stopped, right here. So now I'm going to shift. Go. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. So I kind of did like a little, no, I didn't do a double, I did a proper double roll. So here I am. If you can't do the in and out, one stitch at a time, it's perfectly fine. There we go. So if this hand sewing is not something that you like to do, then you can go ahead and put pins along there. And so just make sure that you put the pins in from right to left, so that as you're sewing, you could take the pins out and sew across. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this hem, and then we'll be back at the machine. So before I do anything else, I am going to baste the lining to the bodice. So the first, I'm going to just go ahead, and I do have these markings for the sleeve, so I want to make sure I keep those. Oh shoot. I want to make sure that I keep those where I can see them, and so I'm just going to go ahead and transfer that marking to the outside. Ow, god darn. So I'm going to pin this together so I can take this pin out and pin it together, making sure that the ends are even with the lining. So here's the back notch right here, the double notch, so I'm going to line those up. And then I have another dot in the back. Ooh, where is it at? Right here. So you want to baste these clothes as well. I wouldn't stitch them under the, I wouldn't baste it with the machine because things can move. So I'm just going to use some basting thread. I do tie a knot in the end of my basting thread so that it doesn't, so that whenever I tug on it, it doesn't come out. So I'll just start here. I'm just going to go in and out, pull it until, and then once I have it basted, I can take the pin out. I'll do that one last. You want to make sure that you baste it within the seam allowance, because you want to leave it there until you get the sleeve on. And if you don't want to have to keep threading your needle like I'm doing, then you can use double thread, but you want to make sure that you don't get it tangled. I like to baste with short pieces so that way everything doesn't get all tangled up. Take that out. And then I'm going to overlap where I started. Take the needle out. Make sure that everything is nice and loose. Like that. So now my armhole is one piece. So I'll do that for the other one off camera, and then I'll be back. So I'm back at the pressing board, and I'm taking a little detour. And what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and get this sleeve ready to go in. So I've hemmed the skirt that's ready for top stitching. So I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to serge the ends of the sleeve, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn them up just the same way that I did the skirt. But you can either, you can press this up 5/8 of an inch. However you're going to finish the seam, whether you're going to use pinking shears, whether you want to serge, whether you want to I wouldn't leave raw, not with woven fabric. But so it's going to be my hem, and I'm going to turn this over. No, yes, I'll leave it just like this, because I just want to make sure that my hem is even. Trying to avoid keeping the markings away from the heat. This is a little too big. It's a little too, and that's better. So now I'm going to go ahead and hem this up. Here we go. I think I got it. Okay. Whew. I'm going to shift this over. There we go. So I think we're good. I think I'm good. Yeah, that one's good. Let me move that out the way and let me focus on getting a good press here. So I'm going to serge the ends, get those ready for hemming, and then we'll be back to get the sleeves together. So let me go serge this and then get this hem rolled up, and then I'll be back. So when you are serging, one way to get really good corners instead of having to have thread tails everywhere is that you can stitch all the way until you can see that the needle is past the edge of your fabric. I'm almost at the end. All right, now the last stitch is at the end of the fabric. I'm going to lift up the presser foot. I'm going to turn it, drop it back down. And then when you look at the corner, you have a nice corner. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. So I am done with the serger. Let's get these hems up. So now I'm getting my needle and thread ready for basting the sleeve. And you don't have to serge the edge to turn it under. I just did this because, as you've seen in other videos, this fabric frays a lot, and I prefer to not have to deal with the fabric fraying on me while I'm trying to get everything pinned under. Because the more I learned, the more that I manipulate this fabric with raw edges, the more it frays. Under. So that side is done. So now I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm going to baste it about 5/8 from the end, because I want to leave this open because I'm going to need to close this up. So let me get the pin out of here. So now I can, oh, it just came apart. All right, there we go. The fabric gets bunched up. Oh, I got a little tangle in here. That's okay. So when I get a little tangle, then I'm just going to go ahead and just go down to one thread and baste this close. Just trying to keep the stitches right along the edge. And we're almost at the end here. And there we go. Oh, I got it through anyway. So there. So then I will go ahead and press that. I'm not stitching this yet. My needle. Get this ready for my next sleeve, which I'll do off camera. Here's the sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this together here. Match my notches. Even though I searched it, I can still see the notch. And then I want to make sure I'm going to open up the bottom. That's why I didn't pin this all the way. So I didn't sew this in closed. So that's open. And get this nice and even. And then put another pin in here to keep things from shifting. And I can sew this together 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And make sure I get that back to my regular stitch. Keep this end even. Making sure this is nice and flat under here. Now when I open up the seam, I can press, I'm going to press this open, and then it will get folded. I'll open up this some. I got to open up my stitches here just a little bit, because this has to open up. Guess I need a little bit more than just 5/8. Just removing some of those basting stitches so that this can open up. Open it up a little bit more. There we go. And then this will get folded inside of here. Okay, so my sleeves are now together, and the hems have been pinned up or sewn up, but they're done. So I have the bottom's here, so I'm going to put the bottom to the side, because I find that it's easier to put the sleeve in when you have a small piece rather than putting this all together and then trying to turn this whole piece when you're putting on your sleeve. So I'm going to set the bottom aside, and now I have the top. And so I'm going to, so this is the shirt, lay it out in front of me. And let's take one sleeve and turn it out and see what side this is. So this is the single notch, so it goes over here, and turn this one out, and this is a single notch, and it goes on this side. But before that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go stretch out my seams, and I'm going to go ahead and do the hemming. It's easier to hem things when they're by themselves, so I'm going to start under in the underarm seam here. I'm going to back stitch, and I'm going to slowly stitch right to the right of my basting stitch. So I said if you just focus on stitching to the right side of that basting stitch, then you know that you have caught all layers underneath. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my basting stitch and I'm lining it up with the inside, the left side of the inside of the presser foot. So where the little opening is, I'm lining that stitching to the inside of that presser foot. So here I am at the end. I do not want to get these stitches caught up. So I'm going to remove some of the basting stitch. I'm going to back stitch, and I do not want these stitches caught in there. Now comes the setting your sleeve. I hope, sometimes I just hope it gets easier. So this is the back, so that's the double notch, so it goes on this side. So then I look at the notch here just to make sure. Single notch here, double notch. So double notches go to the back. So now I have this laid out. So I'm going to take this underarm seam here, and I'm going to cut some these thread tails. So I take this underarm in my hand, and then I take the underarm of the blouse, and I have them kiss. And then I'll take a pin and pin those together, like that. So then I take the blouse, now I go to the inside, and when I grab everything, the sleeve is where it needs to be. So now I've already matched up the side seam. I'm now matching up the double notch. I'm going to slide over to this side and do the single notch. And up here I'm going to go straight up to the circle that's at the very top, that's going to match up with the shoulder seam. I didn't do any ease stitching. I'm hoping I don't have to. If I have to, I will later, but we'll see if we can get away with it. So now I'm looking for the circle here and the circle here, and I'm going to match those up, have them kiss, and pin that. And then here is the other circle on the bodice and a circle on a sleeve. I'm going to make them kiss, and I'm going to put a pin in that circle, and then I'm going to check to see if I have any crazy easing. So now this is whenever, so it's a big curve going inside a little curve, and so the big curve goes on top, and I just bend my fingers. I bend the fabric over my fingers, and that's how I'm going to ease this sleeve in. So if you bent this way, then you have more on the bottom and less at the top, and it'll get all mushed together here. But if you fold it over, then you can pin it out, and you can put as many pins as you need. Now I'm going to this side, pin it out, and I'm going to go around this armhole. So I'm 5/8. I'm going to start at the underarm seam, back stitch. So I'm not going to put, I'm not putting basting stitches in, but I'm not pulling small stitches, because if I have to take this apart, I don't want to have to take tiny stitches out. So I'm just going to slowly, so this is where everything is fine. So this is where we get to the curve. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to hold it up. Oh, make sure that is down. I'm going to take my pin. I'm just going to make sure, I'm just going to curve this, because I'm trying to get those two curves a little bit at a time. Looking at the bottom, keeping everything flat and smooth. All right, here we go. got some easing issues going on, so I'm going to lift up my presser foot. I'm going to get everything nice and smooth under there. Sometimes basting this with your hand, with a hand needle, also helps. Sometimes I gotta wait to take it out and be surprised. There we go. I'm coming around to the other side here. Come on, baby. Just making sure everything stays smooth as possible. All right, I'm almost to the end here. Back stitch. All right, let's see what we have. All right, turn it out. All right, we have a little pucker right here. And everything else is fine. So I have this little tiny pucker right there, and I'm not sure, I'm not going to get that out with ironing. So I'm going to turn this under. I'm going to find out where that pucker is. I see it right here. I'm just going to take a couple stitches in that area. I'm going to smooth it out. Yep, I think I could get that. Smooth it out like that. I'm going to shorten my stitch a little bit. I'm going to start on my stitching line, back stitch. Oh, I got this on the wrong side, but I have the sleeve up towards me, so now I'm going to try to ease it. Come on. Ease it. I'm going to lift it up, flatten it. Lift it up, flatten it. There we go. And I eased it in there. So let's take a look at that. And we're going to start. Here's the underarm. And we're at the shoulder. No puckers, no puckers, no puckers. So now that we got I have a good stitch on there, thank you, Lord. I'm going to add this back on. So now I have to stitch again because those were loose. Those were like basting stitches. So I need to shorten my stitch length. And I'm going to sew I'm going to sew to the right of it, or right next to it. So I've already got everything smoothed out. Actually, I'm going to try to sew right as like close to the where like they can, like, if they had eyelashes, they can bat their eyelash and they can kiss each other with their eyelashes. When my kids were little, I think I called those Eskimo kisses. Like bunny kisses is where you do with your nose, rub your noses. Just making sure everything is nice and smooth. I am stitching right next to that line. And I'm not taking these stitches out. Get rid of this extra thread. I'm getting to the ends. Let me cut my base to cut these thread tails so we don't cause any problems. There we go. That's how it looks on the inside. And so what I will do is I'm going to cut into my, so I can open up my sleeve. If you don't do this, the sleeve, that fabric is going to make the sleeve tight around your arm. So I'm going to clip these, and then I'm going to serge it. But I just want to clip just under the underarm part. See how this just opens up some? And then I'll fix all this with the serger. So now I'm going to do the other sleeve. I'll do it on camera. Okay, let's. Just going slow, making sure everything is smooth. Making sure that I'm still keeping my seam allowance. Put the needle down, lift things up if I have to. I'm going to get things nice and flat. So here we're coming to a pin where there's like a little wrinkle in the line in the actual bodice, but not the sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead and release that and stitch at the same time. Keeping everything nice and flat. Keeping an eye on my pins. Now I'm doing this with a basting stitch. I couldn't get that out. This is almost the longest stitch on the machine. Get this wrinkle out of here. I'm not taking the pin out because I'm focusing on what's going on underneath the machine right now. Now I will go ahead and take this out. Try to keep everything where it should be. Just smooth this out. So now I gotta get this lined up again. And everything straightened up. Making sure that my seams are matching. Making sure my seam allowances are matching. Holding it down and stitch. Okay, I could take this out now. So here is the notch. I think I'm good. Oops. I think I am home. I'm home free. Pin this around. Put that down. Get this smoothed out. Oh. Oh. Make sure that's down. Got a lot going on under here. Alright, I'm going to back stitch here because I need to take a look at what's going on underneath here because I can feel some extra. Yeah, see how that is bubbling. Alright, I'm going to open this up some. Open this up to about right there. And I'm going to smooth this out. Let me put it back underneath the presser foot. Keeping everything nice and smooth. Starting. Oh, I ain't threaded my needle. Hold on. Okay. So I'll go ahead. Alright, keeping everything smooth under there. Getting this thread out the way. Keeping everything smooth. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the seam starting at the bottom. So I do have a little tuck right there, but it's underneath. No one's going to see it. So I'm going all the way around. Everything looks good. Let me look. It's a little one right here, but I think I can get that out when I sew it. And using prints will hide a lot of imperfections. So now that I like what I see going on in there, I'm going to get rid of some this extra thread, these thread tails, and I'm going to decrease my stitches to the normal stitch length. And I'm going to do this again. Put my second row of stitching. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to go right next to that previous line. I'm going to say, hey, we're cousins. So now I'm stitching right next to them, taking my time because I want it to be close. Oh, I nipped it again. Why do I always do that? Okay, let's look. Where did I nip that? God darn it, where did I nip it? Right there on the sleeve. You see how I always do that? It's these scissors. It's these scissors that do this to me all the time. Luckily, I got it. I always do that. It's right in the sleeve. Thank God it's in the other underarm. So I'll have to stitch that with the stitch witchery. I don't know how I just always do that. All right, so now I'm going to make sure everything's out the way. I'm just going to snip into my seam allowance, keeping everything out the way. We don't want to have another nip. See, this just snipping, it just opens up the, look, I'm paranoid now, open up the armhole. Okay, so I will serge that up, or you can, you know, if you don't want to snip those, you can take it and roll it. You know, you can probably, I would probably remove the lining so you can grade the seam, meaning you can cut this down some so that it's half the size, and then you can just take this and do a double roll, and then you can like hand stitch it. So that's one nice way of finishing this seam up. But you want to finish this up, pinking shears, zigzag stitches, but make sure you clean up your armhole. I'm actually going to do the serger. So let's get the bottom connected to the top. Are we recording? Yes. Okay, so here is the front. Let's get and here is the bottom. So I'm going to turn. So we're going to turn, get this like this. So I want to take the side seam. So I'm going to take the, so this is the top and bottom, top and bottom. I'm going to take the bottom and I'm going to flip it over so that the top is now on the inside. And again, I'm only going to worry about what's in front of me. So only the dress, not the lining. So I'm going to take the side seam, I'm going to match them on the side, and I'm going to pin. So now I'm going to go to the other side. So I take the side of the top and the side of the bottom, have them to touch. So there's, get rid of some details. And again, I'm going to do the crisscross pin. So now I'm going to, so this is the back that I'm looking at here. So now I'm going to go look at the front. I need to get the lining out of here. So this front comes together. So there's there's these notches that's in the garment. So you're going to, so there's, it's on the outside fabric. So I'm going to take that, just the front here. I'm going to find the front of my dress. Oh, not dress. Why do I keep calling this a dress? So remember we did this enforce some stitches here. I'm going to clip up into that. So here's going to be one side. Here's that notch. So we're going to take that here, open this up, match those notches, and oh, lost my pin. And I'm going to pin this close, pin that. So now I got to ease these stitches in. So let me get to the back. Where's the back of the garment? Should have put a notch there. So I'm going to put them together. I need to find the center back. So I put the sides together, find the point, so then I can see where the middle of the back is, because I have a middle of the skirt, which I always do, in the middle of the back, and I can put those pieces together. So I'm going to crisscross that. Now from the front, now I'm going to grab those east stitches, those 2 lines of stitches. I'm going to grab just the 2 on one side, and I'm going to start gathering this fabric. Get that gathering all the way to the back. On around. If you can't get them past your X stitches, you can just open this up. And I just need to move some of this gathering to the back. Let me take this off here. Okay. I'll just go ahead and leave that off. Sometimes it works if you leave everything pinned, and I just don't want to rip anything. I'm just going down to that back. See where where's the middle, the back, the back, the back. I lost it, the back. Where's it at? Oh, here it is. I'm gonna put a pin here so I know where that back piece is. So I've got this, and this is from the front. This is just one side that I'm gathering. So I'm going to get this all nice. Remember, this is my side seam, so that has to go on the side. So we're going to get some stitches, some gathering back there. I think that's, you don't want them all in one spot. All right, let me see if that's good. So I'm going to pin this up. I'm going to pin my side here. X marks the spot. Now I'm going to look at the back. So this is the middle of the back, and the middle. Oh no, here's the middle. What was I thinking? I thought that was the middle. Let's get these stitches over. So now I'm comparing these two. So I have a lot more that I have to get back there. So let's open that up again. Let me get the double stitches. So if this keeps opening up on me, let me go ahead and I'm going to put a pin. If you want to prevent these from opening up, you put a pin in here like this. Then you take the 2 thread tails and wrap them around, and then that way you won't lose it. You won't lose your gathering in the front. So I have to go all the way back here. All the way back here. So now I'm going to match the sides up in the back. I think I got it. I think we're there. Let me put my two pins here. And here is the back. So I'm going to just move this around, make these gatherings a little even. These gathers. So I gotta look at this shirt. I don't know if the gathers are supposed to be seen or not. I have no idea. But I'm going to go ahead and loosely, let me get some of these stitches in the back here. I'm going to loosely put these pins in. Okay, that's the back. So I'm going to look at this front half. Lay this. Yep, that's good. Spread these gathers out. I'm going to do some pinning. Spread these gathers out. Spread, spread. All the way to the front. Oh, that came out. Okay, we're here by the front. You never have too many pins. Okay. So I have this going on here. I need to get some more ease here. So I could take my seam ripper and use the dull side, and I could pull this. To get that gather. Then I could pin it. Move the gathers over. Even if you have to use the pin to just slide them over. All right. That is one side. So I'm going to just take, I feel like I got a lot of gathering in this area here. Okay, that is one side. So now I have to do the same for the other side. Whew. I think I was holding my breath some. All right, so I'm going to grab the front threads here. Just these two on the outside. And I'm going to start pulling. I'll go ahead and take these pins out now. So I'll do that later. Slide. So what I can Let me see where I'm at. Oops, where's the shirt? Here it goes. See where we're at with the side. We'll just do a little bit more. And then I'll put a pin in here and anchor it. Put it right up here in the front. Then I'll go ahead and anchor. Now I can move these these gathers to the back. Ooh, I pulled pins out in the back. We don't want to do that. I accidentally pulled those out. So now I'm going to take the side seam, kind of see where I'm at. I think that's good. Here we go. Here. Match up the side seam. This does take time. We still have the straps pinned out the way because we don't want to get them caught up inside of our seam. I think I need to do some cinching here. It's kind of loose here. You don't want to cut your thread. You do want to cinch it. And spread. Cinch and spread. Put one right here. Okay. Let me get this little bit right here. Okay, now I'm going to the front. Whew. Almost there. So here's the front. So here's that V, matching it up. The front here. I'm comparing this. I think we're good. Let me spread the love. Spread the love. Going to the front. Okay, now I'm going to, spread it out right here. And then slowly pin this up. I'm so glad that I have the sleeves out the way, because if I had to, if I was doing all this work and then I was like, oh my gosh, next I have to do the sleeves, I'd be done for the day. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Setting sleeves is not fun for me. Hemming, I like hemming. I like collars. I like facings. I like plackets. But setting sleeves and making buttonholes are two of my least favorite things. Buttonholes is just because it's buttonholes. Even though, the machine does most of the work, you still have to focus on, let me spread this open. I think I'm good. Okay, I'm going to go to the front. So I'm going to look at this. I got a lot of thread here in the front. So I'm going to, this gets sewn all the way to that front. I'm going to pin. And then this side is going to get sewn all the way to the front. So there's going to be some overlap. Just a little bit. I'm going to pin that in there. I'm gonna over pin this area because I don't want anything over here to move. Except for that right there. Get the thread to the back. I am going to start near the front because I want to get this piece over with. I'm going to sew with the gathers on top. So here is the front. Here's that front, center front. I'm going to start right here on the side because we are going to get this out of the way. Stitch length is good. So I'm just going to go ahead and slowly sew around this dress. Making sure the lining's out of the way. Okay. All right, so I have my gathering came out, so I'm gonna put that dull side in between two lines, and I'm just gonna pull it up to cinch it in. Still open that up, maybe do some rearranging. Stick my hand underneath here so I can straighten these edges. Side seam. Oh, I got a little uneven under here. Let me pull that back out. This is the last place where you want to run out of bobbin or thread. Double needle. Am I on the side seam? Why do I have a cross here? Oh, I tricked myself. Here we go. Now we're at the side seam. Here's my end. All right. So I'm going to turn this to the right side so that I can see everything. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, I'm okay with that. Going all the way around, making sure that my strap isn't sewn into the seam, and it's not. Okay, so now I will carefully remove my easing stitches. Not all of them, but just all this loose thread. I'm just going to cut it away because now I got to close this up. So you want to press your gathering stitches. You want to get this nice and flat all the way around. I'm just hesitant of doing this flat. That's why I like my hem, because everything can fall off to the side, and that way I know I'm not putting unneeded wrinkles in this part. I'm trying to keep this straight and have all my gathers down here at the bottom. Lots of steam. So when I look at it, yes, that looks good. All right, next section, removing unneeded thread. That cool. I'm going to check it out. All right, now we're over here at the side. All right, I'm at the front. Oh, look, I got a pleat in there. Let me see how that looks. Oh, it's fine. There you go. And I am going to take my front and I'm going to put those, I'm going to sew those together. That's what I'm going to do. Just like that. And there is, I got my little hole. So I got some thread sticking out from here. We don't want it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do one side at a time. And then I'll sew these two together like that. So let me pin that closed. And that's how I'll close that up. Wonderful. And I have an extra stitch there. That's my understitching, so I think I could cut that. All right, so I'm going to start at the side seam. Pin that. I'm going right above the seam stitch. Right above the seam stitch. Because that's where I need to anchor to. I need to anchor to the seam allowance above the stitching line. Get my okay. So I'm starting at the side seam. I'm just going to anchor. I got the wrong hand needle. I'm going to anchor my stitch up in the seam allowance, and then I'm going to tuck that under, and I'm going to go up through the lining. And I'm going to anchor. That's going to be my anchoring point. Change the needle. So this is why you should wax your thread or condition your thread. Same thing. All right. I just want to get that anchored there. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and change it into. I'll just go ahead and do the whip stitch, which is also acceptable. That means you're just going through both pieces. So, which is probably faster. don't think I could get rid of that. Yep. So if I was making this dress for someone else, I would definitely condition the thread so that I don't get knots like that. But the thing is, it's because, you know, it's that it happens because there's a lot of thread. Because what happens is when a thread is going through the fabric, it is turning. Remember, I'm going through the seam allowance. Okay, so I am not going to do this whole seam on camera because that would be a long file that I would have to upload. But this is, hopefully you get the gist. You get the gist of it. I really want to, so then whenever it's done, you know, except for my blooper right there, that this will, so you just take this all the way to the end. And then when I fold this, this piece here, I'm going to put a little stitch right across these two pieces right here. Okay. Okay, so I have sewn the inside lining. As you can see, it's upside down, but I've sewn it together in the middle. So now with this, I'll have to determine where to put the buttons, but before I do that, I need to hem the actual bottom of the blouse. So I'm going to start at the side seam. There we go. Making sure I don't, making sure that I still have bobbin thread. And actually, I'm going to pop these, I'm going to pop that while I can, the basting thread. Just be easier to pull out later. Just taking this basting thread out now. Just seems easier to do instead of wait until the very end. Okay. Let's see where I'm at. Okay. Going off the edge there.
Hey everyone, Shawnee's here, and this is the completed blouse. She is definitely a beautiful piece. If you participated in a sew-along, take a picture of your completed blouse and post it here in the group, or post it on Instagram or social media. Just make sure you tag me so that I can see it too. After I finish the hem, I have my buttons on here, and I'm not sure if I left this part in the video, but I talked about how I was going to see if I can get my big head through this neck opening, and then I can permanently sew this shut. I can't, so I'm definitely going to have to use the buttons. Another thing is that I didn't make the long version, so I used the shortest version for that dress. And if I make this again, I'm definitely going to use the longer version because it is, so I'm figuring it's going to hit me probably at a weird spot. I think I might like it just to be a little bit longer. I definitely like the tie in the back. So one thing that I was going to do, and I did not do it because I completely forgot, that instead of relying on the ties to cinch this in the back, because it might not cinch it as well as elastic could, I was actually going to take a piece of elastic, and on the inside you can connect the elastic from side to side, and then that way whenever you have the shirt on, it'll hug your back a little bit. The only drawback to that is that it could pull the shirt back, and if you are trying to camouflage a belly, then that's something that you might not want to do. It's probably something that I probably shouldn't do at this point. I really enjoyed making this dress. I'm going to make it again, but again, I'm going to make it longer. This is a woven fabric, but it has some weight to it. I want to make this in some eyelet fabric, which is similar to the shirt that's actually on the front of the pattern. That's a cotton fabric that has eyelets in it. I think that's what it's called. Either that, or I think this would be really, really nice in a linen or something really soft cotton. This is a polyester. Again, I love it. This is going to feel good. But with the lining on here, this is going to be good for work. But for something to wear, like when I'm at the campground, I'm going to try to find a lighter fabric and use that. I hope you enjoyed the sew along or watching it, whether you watch bits and pieces or the entire thing. This is actually my first full length sew along that since it's been years since I've done a full sew along from beginning to end. And I really tried to make sure that I captured everything just to get a sense of how long it actually takes to make this dress. I mean, to make this skirt. I don't know why I keep saying dress. But there was some pieces that I caught out. For example, I had to go find some pins. I had to go find a pen. I had to go, stop recording and take out some sound because I'm talking to family members and whatnot. But overall, I think the length of the videos is a pretty good indicator of how long it takes to make this dress. And have I added all those hours up? Nope, I haven't, but I'm going to, because it's something that I want to continue to do. So until the next sew along, happy sewing, and I will see you here soon.